Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in and joining us today. I'm your host of this webinar, Dr. Ernst, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. Just to give you little ground rules as we sort of let this webinar begin, up in your top right-hand corner, I believe right over there, you'll see a list of everyone that's logging in and attending. Of course, not everybody shows up right at the start time, so we're going to give it maybe a minute or two before we really get going. But I wanted to welcome you today to our Medicine Cabinet Makeover Part 2. This is going to be sort of a short and sweet roll through of what do we do when we have a health issue and we don't want to take a medication that's toxic. What could be some more natural protocols for that? And I have a ton of fun stuff for you guys today. Some other things is below this video, somewhere down there should be a little column that lets you put your name and or email address and or type a comment. Because we are doing this as a live stream today, I won't necessarily be able to instantly respond to those comments, but I promise you, if you comment down there, you ask a question, you inquire about something with your health, someone from my team and definitely myself is going to be able to reach out and answer every single one of them. Last webinar I did, I think we had over 100 questions, and we loved it. We sort of spent some time answering every single one of them. So this is really a night for you, and for anybody who was watching, we're going to have a great time discussing more natural protocols for health issues and diving a little bit deeper into some fun things you can do to protect yourself from environmental issues like having a sunburn or poison ivy or having mosquitoes bite you, all the way down to what do you do if you get a common cold, you want to boost your immune system, but we don't want to go to a traditional doctor or take a medication. So it looks like we have quite a lot of people hopping on. So what we're going to do is get started for sake of time. So I am your host tonight, Dr. Ernst. If you're new to our broadcasts or our webinar series or just anything Ask Dr. Ernst related, I'm going to shut this camera off so you can see my next screen here. But I am the host of the Ask Dr. Ernst show, which is on Saturdays at 3 o'clock here in the Charlotte area. It broadcasts on the station WBT, which is 1110 AM, also 99.3 FM. And along with my wife, Dr. Sarah Ernst, we run what's known as the Ask Dr. Ernst organization. So we're holistic practitioners, functional medicine, chiropractic, cell detoxification. And the radio show is just one way for you guys to get more information on all things health related. As an example, every show is podcast and they're all condition specific. So you'll see just on the 5th, we did one on how to fix a foggy brain, all the way down to how do I slow my aging, why can't I sleep? Wait, I thought coconut oil is supposed to be good for you, if you guys remember the whole debacle a couple months ago. So I take health topics and I answer health questions, and as you can see, some of them are quite popular. Apparently nobody wants to get older and have health issues, and we don't want foggy brains, and we'd like to have superfoods for healing, as you can see on the popularity list. But the podcast exists. Go to iTunes, up in the top right hand corner, you can type in Ask Dr. Ernst. You'll see this logo pop up. What you should do is hit the subscribe button, and then all these become free for you. In addition to that, of course, I have a Facebook page, and I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're not aware of this, every show I do, every video we host, it is pushed as a live broadcast, and you can actually listen to the shows, watch the shows. Obviously, we're getting to the point where quite a lot of people are starting to become engaged in our shows, but what's nice about Facebook is you can share content. You can say, hey, check this out. I just learned this. I think this can help you. And the point is we want to help everybody to become as happy and healthy and whole as possible. Because tonight's topic and today's topic is about making over our medicine cabinet. If you missed my medicine cabinet makeover, it is available for free through our website. So you simply just go to AskDrErnst.com, click on this channel button, drop down, and you'll see seminars and advice, and then this page will load. And right here was the medicine cabinet makeover seminar that I did here in Charlotte. And of course, if you click watch now, it'll pop up on the screen. You can watch the entire thing. I'd highly recommend that. We go deep into why so many people struggle with health issues, why medications are not the answer, and again, what is the sort of protocol for fixing things like high blood pressure, cholesterol, thyroid, diabetes. I took the top 5 health issues all of us deal with, went through all 5 of them line by line. It's transformational, probably one of the best shows I've ever done, best series I've ever done, and it's totally free. If you missed it, you can watch it there. And today is about doing if you got this issue, let's do this instead. So I'm going to just kind of rapid fire go with these. Again, this is available for replay, so if I go too fast, you can always just watch it again when the webinar is done. And again, we'll host a version of it up on our website in case you want to, again, share it with someone or whatnot. But being that we're in the throes of the summer, I get a lot of people asking, hey, what should I do when I had too much sun? And how do I protect myself from a sunburn? Or what do I do after sunburn? Just want to show you real quick, they're actually now finding out that the issue is not so much that the sun is causing problems with us and we're getting cancer from that, but a more recent study showed that you had a higher chance of dying, almost double that, if you avoid the sun rather than those getting sun exposure. So be very careful about putting on slathering lotions and hiding your body from the sun. The sun's actually really good for you. We have photoreceptors in our body. It helps to boost vitamin D. The challenge becomes if your antioxidants are low or your skin is very highly stressed, you're going to probably burn. And so what conventional products are going to tell you is put these products on your skin to prevent you from burning. But they're not telling you that they're filled with various chemicals and toxins that can cause all kinds of problems. The oxobenzones are something that disrupt various hormones in the body. They've been linked to all kinds of issues, including allergies, reproductive problems. And then you have these that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, but they've been linked to cancer, immune system issues, allergies, and again, this one here been showing that it actually causes damage to the DNA. So we try to protect our skin from getting damage to the DNA, creating cancer by slathering these chemicals on. And we're now finding by doing that, you're actually enhancing the ability for you to get skin cancer and potentially to have issues. You might not burn because they block the UVB, but the challenge is you're toxifying your body by loading yourself with chemicals. So something that I do is I tend to find things that are more organic or natural that won't have the chemicals in them. Being that I have a more recently born infant, my son, we use something called Adorable Baby. And it's like a stick. It looks almost like what am I thinking of? Lip gloss. So you just slide that top off and you twist the bottom and it comes out like a stick and you can rub it on their legs and their face and things like that. Another good one is the Loving Naturals. It's more of an organic sort of sunscreen. And then Kiss My Face makes exceptional products. All of these will be free from the chemical toxins. The Environmental Working Group actually has a website you can go to and you can type in what you currently use. It'll score it for how toxic it is, and then you can start searching for alternatives. These just happen to be the three that my wife and I tend to favor, so I thought I would show you what we use. There's also natural sunscreens like using coconut oil and various avocado oils. Some people will go as far as beeswax and shea butter, etc. And you can easily Google things that will show you how to make them. But just remember, the sun is not dangerous. It's the chemicals we put on our skin that makes the sun dangerous. And the reason I use these three is they're non-toxic, they're completely natural, they have no artificial chemicals in them, and it will protect your skin but still give you the benefits of having the sun exposure. Another issue with something we put on our skin on a regular basis that causes a massive amount of health issues in the future are the deodorants that we use. And here's something unique. Everybody says, I want to stop the sweat. The sweat's driving me nuts. But you need to sweat. It's a method of detoxification. And you should take a moment and just think, if you're sweating excessively, where you're at your office and you're drenching through shirts, or you're in your house and you're just doing day-to-day activities and you're sweating through your shirts, that's not normal. And that's a sign your body's overly chemically toxic and your sweat is turning on to get the toxins out. So why would you want to turn that off? So my golden rule with any product is, if you read an ingredient and you wouldn't eat it, then don't use it. All traditional over-the-counter chemical-based deodorants and antiperspirants have been linked to various things like cancers, organ toxicity, even things like Alzheimer's and dementia, because most of them have aluminum, and the aluminum is a heavy metal that can get stuck in our bodies and doesn't come out. So of course, instead of using these things, I tend to try to find some that actually work and work really well. Nourish makes a really great organic deodorant that works both for men and women. And trust me, the common response I get is, I tried the salt and I tried this and that, but it still stinks and I'm still sweating like crazy. So remember, your body is designed to sweat, and so you should sweat when you're moving a lot, when you're active. But if you're just watching a movie at home or you're going through your day-to-day, you shouldn't be gushing with sweat. That's a sign of toxicity. We need to address your liver, probably detox it out, work on the gallbladder. But let's use something more natural that doesn't have aluminum for the smell and for the ability to just keep you clean. So I like this as a commercial product. This one is great because it's mostly an essential oil blend. It is like a deodorant spray. So it's jasmine and grapefruit. They're very cleansing. They keep sort of the smell down. They're antibacterial by some degree. But I'm a big fan, again, of just making your own products because you can control what's in them and they work really well. This is the coconut oil deodorant that I use personally, and this is the recipe on how to make it. So it's 6 tablespoons of coconut oil with a bit of baking soda, some arrowroot starch, which you can buy at Healthy Home Market or even Earth Fare. And then I use essential oils just simply to give it sort of a smell or a flair. Lavender's great, frankincense is good, even some of the things like bergamot and some of the citrus ones like lemon and grapefruit and orange. The whole point of this is that we're using something to basically enhance the ability for your glands not to get blocked and for not you to block your sweat response, but make it have a little bit of some natural antibacterial properties and give it sort of a flavor or a sense of smell, if that makes sense. So you basically mix it all together, and then what I do is I put it into a glass jar. So we use like a mason jar or something like that, and then you're just going to simply scoop your fingers into that, rub it onto your hands, then rub it into the underarm areas, and you should be good to go. Again, word of caution, if you're trying something like this and you're going, it's not working, it still stinks, and I'm sweating like crazy, that's really a sign of generalized body toxicity, and it would be worth investigating the source of your toxins and how to potentially clean your liver out. And if you're looking to do that, again, use the comment boxes below. I work with people all across the United States. Detoxification is something quite easy. We just need to test your liver and find out where it's blocked, and that can be done, and it's very inexpensive. Another issue a lot of us are dealing with right now, especially is this mosquito season, especially here in Charlotte. So these over-the-counter sort of products like Off and whatnot, they're going to be quite toxic because they do contain various chemicals that have been shown to literally shut down nerve system and brain function in the human body in excess. Older methods of doing it was with this DEET product, and we do still find some of that within these kind of Off sprays. And so the risk is, of course, we don't want to spray you with chemicals just to make these guys leave. Why don't we come up with another method that works a little bit better? And one of my most favorite is to use a blend of oils or to use a specific oil that tends to make you repulsive to a mosquito. Peppermint oil has been shown to be a repulsive smell to mosquitoes. They physically don't like the smell of peppermint, so they tend to stay away from it. So if you simply get a pure peppermint extract, and I happen to use doTERRA, but any peppermint extract would work. You just simply put a dab onto your wrists, your ankles, your legs, and your arms, just sort of rub it around on your skin. And what you'll find is a lot of the mosquitoes tend to not be on you or near you. There is another one that's actually designed with a blend of oils to be a repellent. So they call it Terra Shield. It has peppermint and among some other oils inside of it. But again, you can use it topically, or something that I like to do is if you're going to eat outside on the patio and it's not screened in, or you want to sit on your porch and you don't want to be bothered, grab an essential oil diffuser, fill it with water, put at least 5 or 10 drops of this Terra Shield in, hit go, and it diffuses into the air. And again, it's sort of like you're treating the air so that you don't get bombarded with the various bugs that are an annoyance. Works exceptionally well, very inexpensive, and is a great way as an alternative to the chemical versions of what we use to protect ourselves from bugs. Again, because we're kind of on the theme of what are we putting on our body that's very dangerous, those of you who use lotions to moisturize or to work with cracked or dry skin, even though you're being told, like Aveeno comes from oat and, Jergens and natural Niveas and things, these are all extremely toxic, mostly because they're filled with parabens, which have been linked to all types of cancers and hormone disruptions, to even some formaldehyde-like products. And this butylated hydroxyaniline is another big issue because it disrupts hormones. And the challenge with this is if you disrupt a hormone in the body or you disrupt the endocrine system, you interfere with natural hormone processes. So estrogen should be allowing certain tissues to grow and progesterone should protect them. But if your estrogen levels climb because you've disrupted your endocrine system, we see things like cancer and we see other issues with hormones develop. So I'm a bigger fan of using body lotions that are natural, like the straight oils. If you took a small tablespoon of olive oil and just rub it on the bottom of your feet every night, what you'll find over the course of about 4 or 6 weeks is you're going to find your skin is very soft and very neutral. You can either use things like hemp oil and avocado oil, coconut oil. And if you are going to do any sort of lotions that are purchased, of course, make sure that they're organic, and again, that the products that are inside of them would be things you'd be okay eating. Because the last thing we want to do is put toxins on the body. This is a big one, and I get asked this question a lot. What is my thought about all these sanitizing solutions? I see a lot of women who carry them on their purse, and it's just there, they can squirt their hands. I was in the grocery store the other day and I even saw there's sanitizing wipes because I guess we're so afraid of viruses and bacteria. But we're learning that these are also just as dangerous as anything else. Many of them have either high amounts of alcohol or this triclosan inside of them, which is again a hormone disruptor. It is not necessarily an antibiotic, but it has antibacterial properties, and over time it can lead to development of toxicity within the liver and the kidneys and the adrenal glands. So we start to see health issues show up because of us using this. Also because it's in a plastic container and there's a chemical inside, it tends to pull the bisphenol A's and the BPA's and everything that's inside of that. And so we tend to find a lot of kids that use them are showing up positive with more allergies than ever before, and it's part of this hygiene hypothesis. If you remove all the viruses and the bacteria and pathogens from your environment, you actually become more sick. So if you are wanting to sort of protect yourself but not kill everything around you, this is personally what I use as a hand sanitizer. And On Guard is an oil product that is a blend of oils produced by doTERRA, and it has this sort of like protective nature, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-mold, anti-everything. So think of it as a way to sort of protect you but without having all the chemicals into it. And all I do simply is I get a small spray bottle, usually a glass one, because again I don't want the plastics and the hormone disruptors in it. And I just take a tablespoon of aloe vera gel and I put about 20 drops of this into the gel, and then I add some water to fill it up, shake it around, and you now have a spray bottle that has a combination of water, aloe vera, and this On Guard, which has sort of a cinnamon flavor. And you can spritz that into your hands, you can rub it directly onto it, you can spray it into the air. It's a fantastic sort of very quick, easy cleanser if you don't have access to soap and water or just hot running water or something like that. Very, very great product. I use this all the time. In fact, those of you who come to my clinic, we diffuse this specific one into the air, not only because it smells good, because of the number of people we see. We try to keep the viral loads of the office air down. It's a great product. It works exceptional. Now I'd like to move over to a lot of the questions I get on, hey, I went to this restaurant, I got food poisoning, I think I have a stomach flu, I've got a lot of diarrhea, or I had too much fun over the weekend and I've got a splitting headache. What can I do for those sorts of things? And honestly, a lot of that has to do with toxicity. So food poisoning would come from some sort of living biotoxin, salmonella, E. coli, etc. Stomach viruses tend to create toxins within the intestines that lead to diarrhea, so like a stomach flu or something like that. But Bind is an exceptional product. It is a activated charcoal blended with fulvic acid and magnesium. I want you to think of it as a large magnet that if you swallow it, it goes into your body and it just grabs junk, toxins and viruses and bacteria. So if you're in the moment of you're in the throes of it, you're throwing up left and right, you got diarrhea because you ate at a restaurant and they had some unclean food. Typically what I do is I begin with 1 or 2 capsules and I take it every half hour. Most of the time when you're like this, you're not eating because you're fasting, because you don't feel like eating because you're sick. It's a great product to go in and grab those toxins, bind them, and help you to eliminate them. Even if you're throwing up or you the next round throw up and you see the charcoal, just take it again. And as soon as your body starts to bind these, you can increase the exposure. So I can go from taking 1 or 2 every 30 minutes to taking about 4 every 30 minutes, and then I start spreading it out. Very fantastic. You'll see, instead of being bound up with food poisoning for 24 or 48 hours, it'll help you clear it out in just a couple. Same thing again, if it was too intense of a weekend and you're sort of sluggish the next day, a couple Bind will usually help you bounce back real fast. If you're someone who has chronic diarrhea, again, it's usually a sign you're dumping toxins like crazy, and the Bind helps to bind you up. It slows down the bowels, holds everything together, and helps it with safe elimination. Honestly, I use this every single night. I take 2 capsules every night before going to sleep simply because I want to pull toxins out of my body on a daily basis. Great, great product for that. So what do I do if I have like a cough, a cold, a sniffle, or I want to just really boost my immune system and get rid of just some sinus congestion, the brown, green, yellow goop that comes just from having a cold or something like that? I'm going to share with you something I call my immune boosting protocol. And it is a rather high dose. So if you're sharing this with your medical doctor, they're going to freak out. If you're sharing this with your neighbor, they're going to think you're insane. But it works, and it works exceptionally well. Most people that get a cold, it takes them 6, 7, 8, 10 days to get out of it. You do this, it's usually 24, maybe 36 hours max. Ideally, how we do a mega dose, a boost, is to take 1,000 units for every pound of your body weight for just 3 days. So for example, if I weigh 150 pounds, I would take the 1,000 units and divide by 150, and I come up with 150,000 is my dosage that I'm going to do for 3 days. So I'm taking that, dividing out by the fact that there's 5,000 units in the one that I use, and so I come up with the fact that I take 30 capsules for 3 days. And so the way I do that is I take 10 the first day, 10 the second day, and 10 the third day, and so I would use this whole bottle in 3 days, and you have mega pushed your immune system. Vitamin D3 is an immune booster. Probiotics help the digestive system. So you're really hitting the fact that all of your immunity is in your bowels, and so we want to boost it. Then, just to note that when it's spring and summertime, because we are getting more sun, on a regular basis, 5,000 international units is your base recommendation to keep your immune system strong and active. And during the fall and the winter, when the sun starts to disappear, we have longer dark nights, you do need to increase it, and I typically recommend we go as high as 10,000 units daily, simply to protect you. Listen, the cold and flu seasons are not just coincidentally October, November, December. It's because that's when our vitamin D typically drops the most, and we start to go hog wild on holiday foods. So keep your diet clean, boost your vitamin D during the fall and winter terms, and when you do get an expression of symptoms, then boost it real high. You'll see a huge change in that. If you've got a really chronic cough or something that just won't let up, this is something that you can do several times per day, and it works exceptionally well. Vitamin A is a very active immune booster, and this one very uniquely I use because it's very, very high dose vitamin A. It's very hard to find 15,000 units of vitamin A. So you can see the brand here, and honestly, you just simply type it into Google and you'll find it available for you. What I love about it is it only takes 3 drops, and you're literally doing 15,000 international units of vitamin A. That's probably close to 100,000 times over the natural limits of what most people get with vitamin A supplements you find under the counter. A is really good at activating immune system strength and helping with cough. And then I also usually use a blend of coconut oil with peppermint oil, and we'll just put it right under your nose, put it right on your chest, put it in any areas you're trying to breathe and enhance your oxygenation response. So instead of using like a Vicks vapor rub, this is a much healthier method, and it works exceptional at calming your cough down as you sort of breathe the essential oils in. So very great response. Green tea, chamomile tea, the microlyzed vitamin A, and then also using the coconut oil sort of vapor rub alternative. What about if I've got like a tooth that's giving me problems, or I just left the dentist and I had a bunch of dental work done? Silver Psyllium spray is by Designs for Health, and it's basically sort of a silver spray. So you can spritz that directly onto your gum or onto your tooth that's bothering you, or the area that you just had dental work done. Thieves is a spray that comes from Young Living, and it's an exceptional sort of cleansing spray, a cleaning spray. It's antiviral, antibacterial, works exceptionally well. That's a really good one. You can get that online. And then clove has been shown to be sort of naturally numbing, and so it helps to sort of calm down that sort of ache and activity after any sort of dental work has been done. Typically what we do is we recommend you put all 3 of them on the tooth and the surrounding gum areas as needed or multiple times per day. So spritz, put that on your finger and rub it onto the tooth and the gum. It works exceptionally well if you've got a tooth issue and you can't quite get into the dentist, or you just had a bunch of dental work done and you're feeling the after effects. Really great to have on hand. You're also going to see that Silver Psyllium spray and Thieves spray is something we use quite a bit for various other natural protocols. What about UTIs? You know, they hit both men and women, classically women more than men, but it's an annoyance, and it's often a pain. And often what you'll find is most people with UTIs will be given some sort of a medication, and they'll be told drink cranberry juice because it helps. And I'm here to tell you, you should really never do that. A lot of cranberry juice can create further spikes in sugars and also feed certain bacteria. So another Designs for Health product that I use and recommend often when it's an active UTI is something called UT Synergy. And it's basic. You just 4 times the dose during the duration of what the UTI is running. But note that UTIs are usually present because there's too much sugar in your urine. So what we want to do is cut all forms of sugar from your diet. That includes juice, no juices at all, including cranberry. And let's help to sort of balance your urinary output by drinking lots of salted lemon water. The salt I recommend is Himalayan, 1/4 teaspoon. Put some lemon juice in it and drink that. And by the way, there are studies that show people who get chronic UTIs tend to have nerve irritation in their lower back between the 3rd, 4th, and 5th lumbar bones. And that's simply because those are the regions that control the bladder. And so if I have neurological involvement, I tend to not have the brain communicating with the bladder properly. And if the environment is conducive to bacterial growth, because there's lots of sugars and lots of toxins, you'll get frequent UTIs. So this again is sort of a more natural method of going after it. And the UT Synergy is available online. Just simply type in Designs for Health UT Synergy and you can find it. This is not something you would take every single day, but if you're in the throes of a UTI, definitely something worth looking at. How about with pink eye? Not often do we see that in adults, but we get it in our children and things of that effect. But pink eye can also just be a swelling within the conjunctiva, or the sort of white portion of the membranes around the pupil in the eye. So anytime you have sort of like reddened eyes, or you got pink eye, or there's a lot of mucus or things coming off your eye, either you or with your children, first thing we recommend is doing that mega vitamin D dosage we talked about. So taking your body weight, multiplying it by 1,000 units, and taking that over 3 days. You can physically spray the eye itself with a silvercillin spray. So you can do it with the eyes closed, spritz, 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 and then hopefully try to pry the eyelid open and just one quick spritz into the eye. Another thing that works great is to come up with sort of a probiotic culture that we can put onto the eye when the eye is closed. You can also add this directly to the membranes of the eye if you can handle this, but typically we recommend closing the eye and wiping this sort of made paste on. I use Swero Gold, which you can Google and find from Beyond Organic, because again, I have an infant. We can use some breast milk. It's exceptional for antibacterial, antiviral properties. You would essentially just take the breast milk and sort of dab it into a paper towel and wipe it onto the eye. You can even use whey, which comes from kefir. Kefir is a fermented form of dairy, and so again, it's going to have probiotics in it. Or you can even make your own. You can take some coconut milk, some of the probiotics that you have, mix them together, let it sit out for a couple days. You'll see they separate, and that little water that's on the bottom is really good to sort of wipe the eye with. Something else that works great is organic black tea bags that you've already soaked in hot water, remove to cool down a little bit, and put them right onto the eye while it's closed for up to 20 minutes. And what you'll start to see is over time, you'll see the redness and the irritation things go down. Usually we do this on a daily basis for a couple hours per day, and then you'll see it clear out very, very fast. Here's something that I get a lot of questions asked, so I just wanted to talk about it, and obviously more from my female group and patients and clients I work with is, what do I do to sort of enhance the fact that it's dry and it's irritated and hurts? This is a common over-the-counter and prescriptive type approach to it, but the problem with this is that they're using estrogen. Estradiol is a type of estrogen, and will it symptomatically make things less dry? Yes. But as you hopefully know, adding hormones to a system that's usually hormone deficient is never the answer. So as crazy as this sounds, honestly, coconut oil works exceptional to enhance the moisturization and also help the vaginal tissue to start to naturally produce some more lubrication. A couple ways you can do this is physically, just by simply inserting and rubbing coconut oil, but also you can soak a tampon or something to that effect with coconut oil and insert it that way. Sometimes it's actually nice to take the coconut oil and sort of form it into a suppository shape and freeze it, and then you can actually insert it as a vaginal suppository. But listen, it works fantastic. I get questions all the time about it, so I did want to throw it into here. Hopefully it helps, and if anything, it'll make things much nicer. Speaking of other stuff that tends to go into the body, especially for females, a lot of tampons are not organic. They come from a cotton that's usually either genetically modified or it has synthetic products inside of it, like other fibers and pulps and things to that effect. And they're often bleached and loaded with pesticides and herbicides because of their non-organic source. So I hate to say it, but often I find high pesticide exposure in women that use Tampax and other over-the-counter sort of feminine products. So my wife wanted me to show you guys something that she has been exposed to, which is this resource called Lola. It's mylola.com. They are 100% toxic, chemical-free, organic cotton feminine products, and actually they make it so easy they ship them straight to your house. So if you're a female and you're watching this and you're going, oh my God, I finally got access to some great feminine products. They're very inexpensive, they go straight to your house, and you have peace of mind knowing that none of these are genetically modified and have chemical toxins inside of them. So if I'm trying to enhance a vaginal dryness, I would probably take one of these tampons and sort of soak it in coconut oil and then use it that way. Fantastic and an excellent resource. And obviously, I don't have personal experience with this, but this is something that my wife utilizes on a regular basis. What about if we get yeast infections? This isn't just for women, but men can also get yeast infections. But I just wanted to point out that yeast infections come from a fungus, and often what you'll do is you'll see all the creams and the vaginal suppositories and things to that effect. So I'd like you to think of it as, let's come at it from a slightly different angle and do it more naturally, of course. Knowing that it is a fungus, what we tend to see is that they reoccur on a regular basis because the fungus was never addressed. It might have been superficially pushed away because of using over-the-counter products, but let's go at it from a systemic source. And it is something that we use called FungDX. It's by a company called Systemic Formulas. And you would simply just take this 4 times a day until the entire bottle's gone or until you're cleared of having multiple UTIs. Something that works better than the over-the-counter sort of vaginal suppositories or ovules that are antifungal is to simply just take a probiotic capsule and use it as a suppository. So taking that one capsule and inserting it vaginally and allowing it to just sort of dissolve and break apart on its own is an excellent way to rebalance the bacteria. Often yeasts grow excessively when there's not enough good healthy bacteria to protect the body from the yeast infection. So we would come at it from taking an anti-yeast, and then we would come at it from taking a probiotic supplement, but using it as a suppository. Of course, in the throes of a UTI, no sugar, cellular healing diet would be high fats, moderate proteins, no sugars. And then again, there's a connection between your lumbar, 4th and 5th discs, and the reproductive tissues, the lower urinary tracts that tend to get the infections. So these are 2 great things you can do if we have UTIs. Again, guys, I'm coming at you because of the questions we get asked, which is, okay, what do I do for libido? I don't want to be taking Viagra's or anything to that effect. So these work great, and it's from a company called BioRay. And obviously, you can look at them and realize this is for men and this is for women. Obviously, guys don't take this and women don't take that, but it's so simple. You follow the directions on the back of the bottle, and it's a liquid tincture, and it really does help in regards to not only just your drive, but also your performance. And we'll just leave it at that. What if I get a lot of bloating? So, like if my stomach is expanding and I get gas and my, burping and belching and things like that. Usually, instead of doing Pepto-Bismol or Tums and, over-the-counter acid reflux medications, it's an indication you're not digesting your food properly. So, believe it or not, the best way to fix it is to help you to digest your food. So I use a product from, again, Designs for Health called DigestZyme. It is a mixture of various enzymes that help you to digest your food. A lot of bloating comes from the fact that the foods you eat sit in a whole state in your stomach for too long. Once they do pass through, they're not really fully pre-digested, so larger products are getting into the small bowel. That irritates the intestines and they start to expand and get inflamed. Another really good one that helps with more lower abdominal bloating. This is more upper, so acid reflux, indigestion, sort of upper rib cage fullness, lower bowel bloating, more flatulence, gas, and things where you're having, say, discomfort across the lower bowel. Max GI is a great product for that. So not only does it have the enzymes, but it has clove, thyme, and oregano oil, which are very sort of cleansing and clearing to the microbiome. And it also has certain enzymes that help to destroy overgrown bacteria in the colon. And often what we find is a lot of bloating is simply you're fermenting foods because of having dysbiosis or an inappropriate bacterial relationship. So what if I get allergies a lot, or I break out in hives, or I have some sort of reaction? These are, again, some products that are great to use. I don't necessarily sell all of these because honestly you can get them at better prices. You're not going to find them on my website, but I just want to share with you guys some love in regards to not having to suffer so much. So if you get an acute exposure to something, let's say you just, you broke out in a rash, it's only been there for a day or two, or you're in the throes of an allergic response because you're cutting your grass and your nose is running. Loving Energy, which is again produced by BioRay, is a great way to help you get out of an acute allergic response. It lowers histamine. Histamine is what tends to inflame things, make your eyes itchy and red and your nose run and everything else. And so you can load up on this stuff, 1 full to 3 full droppers several times a day when you're in sort of the acute attack of having, some allergies or a rash or something like that. If it's more chronic, if you're like, man, every single year at September, the fall allergies, they hit me like crazy, it's often a sign of liver congestion and liver toxicity. And so something that can be done is you can sort of help to just very gently open your liver. And Liver Life by BioRay is another great, very gentle, easy, clean liver detoxifier. It does need to be taken by your weight, and so on the back there will be instructions on how many drops based upon how much you weigh. And what you'll find is this is something you want to do more on a regular basis to decrease the stress within your liver, in addition to cleaning your liver out and doing a detoxification and working on enhancing your microbiome and your nerve system and everything else. What if I do get a skin rash that doesn't respond acutely to, say, like using the Loving Energy? Well, this is where we can actually hit some more heavier skin rash protocols themselves. The silver spray works great. Again, silver is naturally antiviral, bacterial, fungal, everything else. If we take some cocoa oil, which is like a chocolate type of an oil, and olive oil, and then 2 essential oils, lavender and frankincense, you can make sort of a skin rash balm. Rub it onto the area. It works fantastic. Of course, getting your skin sort of relaxed and exposed to something that can clean it out also works. Salts are great for the skin, and an Epsom salt bath works amazing anytime you have skin rashes. So do food-grade hydrogen peroxide baths for the skin. It works by sort of kicking off an active oxygen species when it's in the water. Oxygen, again, is very anti-everything, very cleansing and refreshing to the skin. Just note that 35% food-grade hydrogen peroxide must be diluted in water. If you put it directly under your skin, it does have a bleaching effect. Your skin will turn white. It's not going to do anything really other than be white, and the pigment will come back. But you dilute it into the water, and you take a nice bath with hydrogen peroxide. Start light if you've never done this before, a half a cup. Work your way up to a full 2 cups if you'd like. Also, it's a really good detox bath, so it helps to drain the liver and help you not to have the reaction as much. What if you've got, or your kids have a sore throat, or they have strep throat or something like that? Your doctors are going to throw an antibiotic right at you, and if it happens too many times, they're going to say, well, these are the problem, let's cut these tonsils out. When in fact, it's not the tonsil that's the problem, it's the fact that there's overgrown bacteria in the body. The tonsils are doing their jobs of trying to collect it all, but if you don't go after the bacteria, you don't boost your immune system, they will keep coming back. Something you can do superficially is you can gargle with salt water and apple cider vinegar. Works great. Again, they're antiviral, antibacterial. Note that almost all strep throat issues, unless it's been tested positive as a bacteria, are typically viral. And so what we want to do is also, again, spray the mouth down with the silver spray, and you can use vitamin A and vitamin D in those boosting protocols because it's an immune booster. Often the salt water and the apple cider vinegar will calm it down, usually within a couple hours. What if you got bit by something other than a bug? If it was a spider or something to that effect? The thieves spray that we used before, very, very effective. And what you'll also find is that there is a blend of basil and peppermint that if you mix them together, it tends to take the redness, the irritation, and the itching away. It doesn't just have to be a spider bite. It could be, a sting from a bee or a wasp or anything to that effect. Basil and peppermint applied directly to the skin, sort of rubbed onto the area, will help to calm it down, cool it down, and also help with any itching or reactions from it. And then you can spray the skin with the thieves spray. It works very, very well. What about if I'm getting chronic headaches? First of all, I want you guys to realize headaches are often a sign of dehydration, neurological involvement, or toxicity. So ruling those out, hopefully you're addressing them, but we don't want to take an aspirin, Advil, a Tylenol, or a Motrin, or a Maxalt, or something like that. Here's a little secret that works great. It's just simply taking peppermint oil and rubbing it on the side of your head in the temple area and then right under your nostrils. And you want to take some pretty deep breaths in to get the peppermint sort of into the nasal passages and then into the brain through the nerves in the nose. Peppermint is a very good opener of vessels and tissues. Often we see that what happens with headaches is it's either a decreased blood flow to the brain or an excessive blood flow to the brain, and so we want to try to just normalize that out. You can also diffuse it if you're having a splitting headache. If you tend to put peppermint into a diffuser, let it diffuse in the room and just sort of inhale it, it goes down. And also magnesium oil can be applied directly to the temples. You don't want to put this on your face, it kind of stings and burns, but on the outer side of your temple area. It's a smooth muscle relaxer. And if you put your hand just above sort of the ridge of your cheek, but behind your eye, you'll feel there's actually a small pulse there. You do have an artery that feeds up into the brain. So opening the artery using magnesium oil can help to supply new fresh blood and sort of drain the head from any pressures that would develop. This is a big one. I get asked this all the time. I have restless leg syndrome. My muscles cramp up at night. I get Charlie horses often. How do I stop that? First, recognize it is a classic sign of mineral deficiency and possibly deficiency in magnesium and vitamin K. So of course, how would we go about this? Well, let's boost those 3 deficiency possibilities and see if they go away. So adding extra minerals to your day-to-day intake, I use a product called Min. It's an exceptional mineral, plus it has a bunch of other things you don't just find in your classic over-the-counter minerals, and is a very high dose. I also use magnesium. This is a liquid form, tastes great, and it's easily absorbed as opposed to the magnesium powders and or pills, simply 1 to 2 teaspoons at night. And you'll often find restless leggers are people that are very deficient in vitamin K, and they often have a lot of neurological involvement or irritation to their lower back nerves. So adding vitamin K, like the raw K complex from Garden of Life, is an exceptional way to boost the lack of the vitamin, and it helps to create more relaxation within the legs. You'll notice that this one has 100 micrograms of vitamin K2. It's also very hard to find in an organic format, so I like the vitamin code RAW-K. If you do all 3 of these, you'll tend to see within the next day or 2, no more cramps and the restless legs calm down. What about people who just get a lot of muscle spasms or have tight muscles or something to that effect? First of all, recognize that muscles contract because they're trying to do something. So if you tend to always find your upper back and neck is tight, you can never seem to release it, it's not just that you carry your stress there. That's an indication that you may have an alignment issue. It could be a dropped shoulder, could be forward head syndrome, could be a disc, and your muscles are contracting to try to fix that. And so note, chronic muscle spasms is often a sign of neurological involvement. But if it's like you had a pretty big workout, or you were doing some gardening, or you were building something and you just have a tight muscle from that, magnesium oil, again, very good. Ancient Minerals makes a great one that you can spritz directly onto the area and rub it into your skin. doTERRA makes a nice deep blue rub, or like a muscle rub, way better than those over-the-counter icy hots or any of those sorts of things, because they have no toxins in it, and those do. And also, the magnesium, if you take it orally, can help to relax. Think of magnesium as a muscle relaxer. So that's why the oil sprayed on the skin is good, taking it orally is good. And then Deep Blue uses the various oils, the peppermints and the wintergreens and things like that, that are known to increase blood flow and help to calm down skin reactions. A lot of you have asked, how do we decrease the exposures of chemical toxins through our toothpastes? So we don't want to use Colgates and Crest and everything, partly because they're loaded with, again, an antibacterial product, these sodium lauryl sulfates that are foaming agents that are very toxic, that have been linked to cancers. Fluoride, again, massive toxicity. So what we want to do is teach you how to make your own and get some good benefits for your teeth. And so you can usually make this stuff quite easily with baking soda, coconut oil, some essential oils for flavoring. And it doesn't take very long. You just simply mix it all together, and you'll find your amounts based upon, do you want a really thick, hard toothpaste, or do you want something that's more liquidy and soft? If you want to add some whitening effects to your teeth while you brush, just drop 1 charcoal powder into the mix it around. It's going to turn jet black, but it works very well. This is a great one. I use peppermint oil, baking soda, coconut oil, and I blend it together in a small mason jar, and then you just simply scoop it out every time you're going to brush your teeth. If you want to actually whiten your teeth, something that you can do that's really good, way better than Crest white strips or any of the chemical-based strips, is to do something called coconut oil pulling. Now listen, do not swallow this oil that you put in your mouth, but typically about a tablespoon or so of the oil. If you add a drop of clove, if you're having like cavity pains or root canal issues, or you've got sensitive teeth, it'll really calm down the reactivity. You can also add something like peppermint or even frankincense, but 1 or 2 drops typically, and you swish this for up to 20 minutes. It will feel like an eternity, but when you spit it out, it's going to look almost like milk. It's pulled all the toxins from your teeth, and if you do it day in and day out, eventually you'll get really good whitening effects without having any of the toxicity effects. What about if you have kids and they're beginning their teething process and you don't want to use any of those over-the-counter sort of chemicals that they wipe onto the gums or something to that effect? Here's a really great one. Again, I have an infant who's teething, and this works exceptionally well. You mix together some water, some apple juice, and some cloves, and then what you do is you basically take some washcloths and sort of soak it into that, and then you freeze them after you've sort of wrung out all the excess, and it creates a little chewing cloth, something that they can chew on because it's cold, it has the clove in it, it's a great way to get it into them, and it's like a little bit of a toy. And most infants, when they're, you give them something, they put it straight into their mouth anyway, and it helps, it works great, and I'm telling you, this is a lifesaver for us right now, possibly for you if you have any grandkids or if you have kids currently that are of teething ages. Lymphatic congestion is also a big issue for a lot of us. So if we tend to get swollen areas, if your wrists swell up or your ankles swell up or your feet swell up, so Estiac tea is a great tea that helps to boost lymphatic function. It's also an anti-cancer tea. Coincidentally, it is a tea blend that was utilized many, many years ago by a Canadian registered nurse who found out that there was an Indian culture that had very low cancer rates, and she found out that they drank this special type of tea. Her last name was Cassier, so if you watch it, Cassier spelled backwards is Estiac, and so she came up with the tea called Estiac tea. It is still available today. You have to kind of hunt for it, but Blue Moon Herbs and various other herb supply companies will sell the tea. Great lymphatic tea. Getting a lymphatic massage by a massage therapist is also really good. But my favorite is just rebounding, so spending 5 or 10 minutes every day and just sort of jumping up and down on a small rebounder. Lymphatics work sort of by pulsing, and so you can drain your lymphatics by doing that. Infrared saunas are another great way because they induce a heat response. You open up, you sweat, and you start to push the toxins throughout the body. Another great thing for lymphatic congestion. How would you know your lymphatics are congested? You're getting swollen lymph nodes under your jaw, behind your neck, in your armpits. You have a lot of fluid in your legs, in your ankles, your knees, your wrists, etc. What if you get an ear infection, or if your kids get an ear infection? Really, really good stuff is to just simply mix apple cider vinegar and some rubbing alcohol at a 1-to-1 relationship. Go to Whole Foods or Earth Fare and buy one of these little dropper bottles, and you can put 1 to 2 drops in the ear as needed. It's also a great way to prevent, swimming ear and any sort of stuff with the ear. It's a really good way to clean your ear as well. I use it personally just to clean my ears out. You can also do garlic oil if you get access to that. And again, the silver psyllium spray is also great. Sort of spritz it into the ear canal. What if you've been gardening like crazy, like a lot of our patients have lately, and oops, I got exposed to some poison ivy. These 3 oils have been shown to not only lower the inflammation, but they improve the rate at which the rash disappears. Geranium, rose, and lavender. What you do is you simply take some sort of a compress or like a washcloth or something like that, and mix these 3 oils and then wipe it onto the skin in that area. If you're too sensitive to put them directly onto the skin, if it tends to get red, then you can dilute it into some coconut oil and then put that onto it. Oatmeal baths are also another really great way for poison ivies. They tend to pull the oils out. The biggest thing with poison ivy is the oil that is developing on the skin is what is contagious, and so we want to sort of dry that off and allow it to be pulled out, which is what the other oils do. They will sort of fight that oil for you. Something else that works as it gets a little closer and starts to heal over is to start wiping it down with witch hazel, and then again wiping it with those 3 oils, the geranium, the rose, and the lavender. They work really, really well. What if you're not going as often as you should? I get asked a lot, hey, I'm really backed up. I haven't gone to the bathroom except for once a day, or maybe it's been a couple days. These are sort of some healthy methods of getting your bowels to move. I want you to think of this first one as like a healthy colonoscopy drink. You mix 3 grams of buffered vitamin C with 250 milligrams of pro-magnesium, which is the liquid magnesium, and you take that dose every hour on the hour until you have a loose stool. So if it takes you 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 doses, then you'll know how backed up you really are. Typically, within about 3 or 4 of these, you're going to be going quite easily, and then to maintain that, you'd want to simply do about 1.5 grams of the buffered vitamin C mixed with the magnesium every day to keep things going. Remember that a lot of constipation is due to you being dehydrated, so we want to increase your fluids, specifically the salted water I talked about before. And if you are still having problems, this one's going to clean you out, no doubt. It's a coconut oil cleansing protocol. You do 1 tablespoon every about 2 to 3 hours, and then the next time you do it at 2-hour mark, you double it. So you'd start at 1, 2 hours later it's 2, 2 hours later it's 4, 2 hours later it's 8, and if you can get to 8 tablespoons and you haven't gone yet, we need to talk. That would be an indication of some severe compaction and or colonic, potentially paralysis. Coconut oil is a cleanser. It will clean you out. And so once you do get cleaned out, 1 to 2 tablespoons consumed daily will usually help you. And again, remember, movement of bowels, movement of organs is related to how your nerve system is functioning. I often find a lot of people with low back disc issues and nerve issues have constipation. So getting adjusted will help with that. What if your kids come home one day and they've been sent home early because of them having lice? It happens, right? So this is much better than the Nix and the Ridixes and all those things that are very heavily chemically toxic. And you can see simply we're mixing sesame oil with neem oil, which you're going to have to Google and look up, and then tea tree oil, and then using some eucalyptus and rosemary oils with some lavender. Essentially, this is a blend of oils that kills the lice and kills the lice eggs. And so you rinse your hair with apple cider vinegar, allow it to dry, and then you apply that oil to your scalp and you let it sit there overnight. And then in the morning, you remove all of what you found, so everything that's died off and everything else, with just your regular shampoo and things like that, and then repeat this oil exposure on a daily and or several day per week notice until it happens. So we mix all of this together, all the oils, and then we hang on to that. We rinse our hair with apple cider vinegar, we allow it to dry, and then we apply all of those oils to the scalp, covering it with a shower cap or something. And then the next day you wake up, comb through the hair, get rid of everything, and then repeat that as often as needed. Usually it's going to take some time for it to clear completely out. What if you're having a blood issue and you're having a really hard time bringing your anemia up? I've been asked several times, I'm anemic, it's just part of my life, nothing can be done about it. But honestly, there are several things you can do naturally, recognizing that anemia has a lot to do with how you process your iron and how your liver is performing. Beets are a great way to boost iron and also cleanse your liver out. What's unique is, of course, the color of beet juice looks a heck of a lot like the color of a liver, and there's no coincidence because they sort of help each other. You can also eat liver, and I would caution that it's got to be grass-fed from an organic source because you want a liver that's clean. So eating liver is as simple as, sautéing it lightly and then just simply consuming it as if it's a piece of steak. And then Max Greens is another great way because it helps to boost the sort of ability for you to bind iron and things to that effect. I often find people who are anemic are also deficient in their greens. They're not eating enough greens and getting enough chlorophyll and everything else to that effect. So having a Max Green smoothie once a day, drinking at least some beet juice directly, and having some liver usually will clear anemia out in about 2 to 3 months. What if you have a cold sore? There's that nasty thing that shows up right below your nose or on your lips. Lysine works great. You can take it as a supplement. You can even take it and put it directly onto the skin area. Doing the mega dose vitamin D protocol we talked about before is also really good. Something I'm a big fan of is soaking a cotton ball in apple cider vinegar and holding it on the area as long as you can, and recognizing that cold sores show up when we're often stressed. It's a virus that lives in our nerve system, so anything we can do to decrease the stress of our spine, getting adjusted, doing your exercises, your traction, and using your spinal pillows, and supporting your immune system with cleaning out your diet and everything else will usually clear them up. Usually the apple cider vinegar compress works really great. Again, if you're seeing one physically, it's burning and itching and causing problems. This is a big challenge for a lot of us. Most of us are tired all the time. And we're drinking coffee and we're still falling asleep, etc. Those of you who know that the way my philosophy works is your body's designed to produce energy by itself, but often it can't because we're deficient or we have an interference or we're missing something. The biggest thing behind sugars or behind energy is when we eat a lot of sugar, we're going to crash. When we eat a lot of grains, we're going to crash. When we eat caffeine and drink a lot of coffee, it actually damages the adrenal glands and doesn't let us repair our natural energy. So something I use for those of you who are tired all the time is a product called Energy, ENRG. It's an ATP producer. That's your body's energy process. It's essentially a unique blend of a B-complex vitamins that works with your mitochondria to help you boost the energy. And note that often we're tired because we're not sleeping properly and we're not doing the right types of workouts. You know, seeing that today is Thursday, why don't you hop on my radio show this Saturday at 3 o'clock? I've got an entire show on why am I so tired and what can I do about that. That's this Saturday, 3 p.m. on 11:10 a.m. Also streaming live on our Facebook page, so we'll go deeper into that. But what I said earlier that we want to collect sleep issues, and so what's something we could do for that? I'll be honest, the best thing you can do is decrease your blue light exposure. Blue light is produced by all LED and all artificial lights, and when you see too much blue light throughout the day, it stimulates your retina to believe it's the daytime. So if the sun has gone down and you're seeing blue light, you're going to think it's the daytime, and that prevents you from sleeping. So you can get what's known as blue blocking lenses if you just Google blue blocking glasses, and you would wear them when the sun goes down anytime you're looking at something that's got light shining off of it. Computer screens, your tablet, your phone, the lights in your kitchen, etc. Magnesium helps people to sleep, so does glycine. Grounding sheets work great, and if you work out with the correct method, the burst workouts, that also helps really, really well. Guys, we're coming down to the last one, which is also, I saved the best for the last. Hemorrhoids, okay? Nobody likes to talk about them. They're never fun to have, but of course, when we get them, we'll do anything we can to get rid of them. And this is a great topical method to calm down hemorrhoids. Just know hemorrhoids are present usually because your liver is congested. The hemorrhoidal veins dump directly into the liver, so if your liver's backed up, the veins back up, and we tend to get excessive sort of swelling of the veins around the anus. So frankincense, tea tree oil, which is also called melaleuca oil, and cypress, if you mix a little coconut oil together with those three, put them on some sort of some compress or like cotton ball or something to that effect, and then apply it directly to the area. Usually you'll see they will cool it down and calm it down almost instantly, and over time they should start to diminish. Just note this is a superficial application. You would more than likely want to do some liver cleansing, cleaning, and detoxing to open your liver up and allow the pressure to drain through those hemorrhoidal veins. Guys, I know this was fast, and I know this came at you all at once, so don't forget that once this webinar is finished, you're going to be able to see this again, but I'm trying to stay on time and on par for all of us who have busy lives, seeing that this is the noon show, and of course, you're also going to see this one at the later events. I'm not going to host this live all 3 times, so if you're here in the evening, note that this was the rebroadcast of the live event. I thank you for joining us today. I hope you guys find this greatly informative. Don't forget, of course, if you're just watching this for the first time and you're going, wow, this is amazing. This is just a scratch the surface of how I take patients through a health transformation. We do a lot of dietary work. We do neurological work. We do detoxification. If you're somebody here on this webinar today looking for natural methods for your blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, MS, heart disease, your health issue, we can help you with that. Not just here locally in the Charlotte area, but also across the United States with our virtual programs. If you'd like more information about that or how to connect with me directly, just simply scroll down below the video, type your name and your email address in, and give me some sort of an update. Hey, I was watching this webinar, I struggle with this, can you help? And I'd like to see either an email and a phone number, and we can reach out to you. Something as an offer, if you are someone who's never worked with us before, we're offering free 15-minute phone consults just to simply talk. Here's what's going on. Here's what I would think. Let's see where we can go from there. And if you would like to do that, again, scroll down below this video, put your information in, and then what we can do is we'll reach out to you. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and some fun stuff to come up ahead. I'm going to probably end up doing a webinar like this on a monthly basis now. We've been getting such great questions, so stick around. Make sure you guys sign up for our Facebook page. You check out the iTunes podcast. If you haven't yet visited the website, which is AskDrErnst.com, go there, sign up for our newsletters, and you'll stay up to date with everything. Thanks again for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you guys either at one of my live events, one of my dinner seminars, or in a future webinar. Thanks so much again. Enjoy the rest of your day.